Amass.
Sammeln.
Richard III amassed an army of 12,000 men near Leicester. Banish.
Verbannen.
In the past, they could banish you from your homeland. Battle.
Schlacht.
He was killed in 1485 in a battle. Beak.
Schnabel.
Male blackbirds have a yellow beak. Big-headed.
Eingebildet.
Despite her success, she isn't big-headed. Brutality.
Brutalität.
The Vikings were notorious for their brutality. Burial.
Begräbnis.
They found the site of Richard's burial. Carve.
Schnitzen.
The Vikings carved the letters of the alphabet on stone tablets. Coffin.
Sarg.
They buried him without a coffin. Condition.
Zustand.
The skeleton was found in good condition. Crops.
Kulturpflanzen.
I grow my own vegetables and cereal crops. Cruel.
Grausam.
Sue says some really cruel things. Cunningly.
Arglistig.
The document was cunningly hidden so no one could find it. Curved.
Gebogen.
My spine is badly curved so I often have backache. Deduce.
Herleiten.
I won't give you the answer. You have to deduce it. Deformed.
Deformiert.
The skeleton had a deformed spine. Descendant.
Nachkomme.
Benedict Cumberbatch is a descendant of King Richard III. Desolate.
Desolat.
The place looked desolate. How could anybody live there? Drown.
Ertrinken.
The sea is too rough. You'll drown if you dive in. Embark.
Aufbrechen.
I'm going to embark on a voyage of exploration as a marine biologist. Excavate.
Ausgraben.
They had to excavate in a car park to find Richard's skeleton. Expedition.
Expedition.
My dad mounted an expedition to the Amazonia. Extort.
Erpressen.
My ex-boyfriend tried to extort money from me. Ferocious.
Wild.
The Vikings made a ferocious attack on an English monastery. Friary.
Kloster.
They buried his remains in a friary graveyard. Funeral.
Beerdigung.
I read a poem at my father's funeral. Genealogically.
Genealogisch.
I can't believe you are genealogically linked to my grandma. Graveyard.
Friedhof.
My granddad is buried in the city's graveyard. Grindstone.
Mahlstein.
They sharpened their weapons with a grindstone. Hot-tempered.
Heißblütig.
Apparently, Eric the Red was hot-tempered and angered easily. Hunchback.
Bucklige.
Richard III had a deformed spine and was a hunchback. Incessantly.
Unaufhörlich.
She talked incessantly for 2 hours. Intrigued.
Neugierig.
I wanted to know the end of the story. I was intrigued. Jaw.
Kiefer.
My jaw hurts and all I can eat is soup. Lamentable.
Bedauerlich.
The monastery is in a lamentable state. Light-hearted.
Unbeschwert.
The play wasn't light-hearted, it actually made you think. Livestock.
Nutztiere.
I live in a farm where I tend the livestock. Monastery.
Kloster.
There used to be a monastery here. Now it's all ruins. Muscular.
Muskulös.
My legs aren't very muscular. I need to exercise more. Nimble.
Flink.
My child has a nimble mind. She learns very quickly. Ointment.
Salbe.
Rub this ointment on your legs twice a day. Parliament.
Parlament.
The Althing is the oldest parliament in the world. Pillager.
Plünderer, Plünderin.
I didn't steal the money. I'm not a pillager. Plead.
Flehentlich bitten.
I'm not going to plead with them to set you free. Portray.
Darstellen.
The novel portrays life in the 19th century. Raider.
Räuber, in.
The Vikings were raiders. Reign.
Herrschen.
The Vikings reigned in Europe for 300 years. Remarkably.
Bemerkenswert.
The facial reconstruction looked remarkably similar to his portraits. Saga.
Sage.
The figure of Odin was taken out of a Viking saga. Seize.
An sich reißen.
Richard III seized the throne from his brother's sons. Settlement.
Siedlung.
They've found a new Viking settlement near the coast. Site.
Stätte.
Richard's burial site was found in a car park. Skeleton.
Skelett.
The skeleton was in good condition. Skull.
Schädel.
A facial reconstruction of the skull was made. Somersault.
Salto.
He ended his routine in a somersault. Spine.
Wirbelsäule.
He had a disease which affected his spine. Steady.
Ruhig.
I might be old, but I still have a steady hand. Striking.
Markant.
He looked striking with his long red hair. Subsequently.
Daraufhin.
There was a monastery here, which was subsequently destroyed. Suet.
Speisefett.
I used suet for the pastry. That's why it's so tasty. Supple.
Gelenkig.
My grandma is still quite supple. She exercises every day. Tend.
Hüten.
Could you tend the livestock while I'm away? Thereby.
Damit.
He answered all the questions, thereby winning the contest. Throne.
Thron.
Both brothers fought for the throne of England. Tough.
Zäh.
This steak is so tough. I can't chew it. Trim.
Schlank.
You're actually quite trim. Do you exercise a lot? Tyrant.
Tyrann.
According to Shakespeare, Richard III was a hunchback tyrant. Ultimately.
Schließlich.
12,000 Vikings ultimately settled in Iceland. Uncommonly.
Ungewöhnlich.
She was uncommonly relaxed before the exam. Victim.
Opfer.
Don't blame him, he's the victim. Warrior.
Krieger. In.
The life of a warrior was hard in the 8th century. Withered.
Verkrüppelt.
He was born with a withered arm. Youth.
Jugend.
I've grown old now, but in my youth I could run a marathon.